Hey everybody, welcome back. Papa Boris here, playing some more Altered TCG. Gonna do a little bit of Ordis or that, and see how this goes. I do enjoy this faction a bit. They're really straightforward, really strong. I was very inspired by my loss against this faction. My opponent shelled out for that 5-mana permanent that makes everything come in with a boost, and even though I removed it one time, it was crazy good. In fact, I could even just keep it. Oh wait, no, this is not that it's a different 5-mana permanent. Create 4 Ordis Recruit Soldier tokens, distributed as used among any number of target expeditions. Oh, it's not a permanent. It's a spell. Okay, I'm not gonna keep a 5-minute spell. We are gonna keep this, the classic, on turn 1. And then that is whatever. This lets you get rid of something. But Muna's not gonna have that much expensive stuff. I'm gonna get rid of that. And then charge. This is more of a late game thing. I'm gonna get rid of that. So we're gonna play this on turn 1. And then on turn 2, it's a little bit crappy, actually. I don't have much to do. These 3 drops are a little bit underwhelming. Oh, wait, this one is better later. You need 3 or more other characters. So I get 2 every turn once this is in play. And then I need to get to the point where I can, like, play one thing and then have enough mana to play this thing. So next turn I'm going to be playing this, which is a little bit underwhelming. But, you know, it is 3 stats in one lane and 1 in the other, 4 if you count my starting token. Okay, my opponent plays the classic Sneezer Shroom. So here, what I'm gonna do is just pass because I have no more mana. Right. Okay, so I hope my opponent doesn't have a 1-drop. If they have that little foresty thing, they do. Okay, well, that sucks. So they're gonna move twice, and I'm gonna move 0 times, and they have these anchored thingies, these anchored plants, to counter my starting tokens. Personally, I would have actually put the boost from the hero power on this so that it actually has stats to contest in case it lands in a region that doesn't have forest, which is exactly what has happened here. So this is actually nothing right now, which is good. Now there is the nurture spell, so they could buff them. My opponent could buff both of these and that would make it relevant. But yeah, okay, there it is. When a character joins your expedition, it's gain a boost. The problem is, of course, that you know, I'm a little bit behind here, so it's a bit scary to do that. I think I don't need 2 Kokobas. What I'm going to do is get rid of one of them, play this, and then we'll kind of see how this round goes. There's plenty of things that Muna can do for 4 mana that would, you know, win a lane, if not both. But I would like to play this. This would actually be really good to play before I play this, but unfortunately I just don't have anything else to play. It's 3 or more other characters, not 2 or more other characters, so it doesn't get the boosts from just my starting tokens. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of the weaker one of those, the non-rare one. Maybe the safer play would have been to get rid of this, seeing as how I'm behind on the board and on movement, since my opponent got the nuts on turn 1 with these 2 cards. Well, the nuts would have been the good version of the shroom that buffs. Luckily, that didn't happen. And my opponent is first here, so we'll see what happens. They might, you know, commit a bunch of their mana, and then I can kind of see what to do. But at least I am contesting this, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so my opponent spent all their mana just to put a big fatus, and that is fine. That's actually great. I will just play this over here. Unfortunately, the battle cry does nothing. But the 1 on Forest and Water is enough to block movement from the Sneezer Shroom, and I still move thanks to the Desert because I'm in the starting zone, and my opponent is filling up their reserve and throwing a card away. So, yeah, I think I'm actually fine with how this is going, and I may even play this landmark next turn. So my opponent moves, I move. There's still 2 spaces ahead, but this is just tremendous value considering I generate 2 tokens every round now thanks to having this in play on turn 1. So I think I really just need to do this. Suck up, you know, whatever happens, this turn happens. Let's say they move both lanes again, and then, yes, they are then 2 movements away from winning, but I feel like I just gotta go for it. And also, I do have a 1-1 in both lanes, so my opponent will need to do something because they're not starting with anything on the board this time. They'll need to play something to actually get both lanes out. Yeah, we gotta go for it. Okay, so this is a character with 4 or more. 4 or more. My opponent, like, a lot of their scary stuff is only 3. This is really slow, though. create 2 in each. You can imagine this would be just bomb diggity with this, but like actually playing this and then the next turn playing that, there's no way that's going to happen. So I need to put things on the board that give me value now if I'm committed to the plan of playing this monolith. I could have maybe not done that. I could have pivoted and done something different, but we'll see how it goes. Why was it that when I was up against Ordis, I couldn't beat this? Why was I being so slow? I must not have gotten, 2 moves off of round 1. Yeah, I mean, every move matters. Okay, well, playing face up here. We're playing the landmark. My opponent, just with their reserve cards, could beat me in both lanes. They just need to make sure they play this first to get the boost in either place, because both of them have forest. And then they play this in the other one. Then they keep their cards in hand. They start with a boosted thing next turn, although I will tie. I don't know why they did this. That doesn't make any sense. They must have something from their hand that they like more. It's a weird move because this is going away. Oh, maybe they're anchoring it. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, they play like, is it a 2-drop? Yeah, I think it costs 2, and then the reserve cost is 3, if I remember correctly. So they play the 2 mana reserve, keep it. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. But doesn't the anchoring card only work on things that have a hand cost of 3 or less? Okay, they just did it backwards order. So for no reason whatsoever, they're not moving here. They just needed to play this first. It would have come in boosted from the hero power, 2 forest. Oh, beauty sleep. Oh, okay. But why? You didn't need to use this. You didn't need to use this. You could have just had this be boosted from your hero power, save this for later, and then also play this and the same exact thing happen. Okay, well, anyways, this opponent whose skill at the game I am so viciously maligning is crushing me. They are 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces ahead. They just need to move 2 more times and win. But I do have a free pair of 2/2s coming in every round, and a fistful of cards. Oh, I got these boys. Oh, the good ones. Okay. Now we got Kokoba, which honestly isn't even that impressive anymore, but I mean, it's still gonna be what, 6/6 for 3 after the extra token. So yeah, it's still good. And the fact that I get to keep this, I mean, this shouldn't be on the board. They could have accomplished the exact same thing, and not had this be on the board. Okay, so I do have to discard something. I'm going to get rid of this. I hope I can just beat my opponent's stats. I don't want to be reliant on my opponent playing things that cost 4 or more mana in order for that card not to be dead, because the other stuff I have in my hand is so good. With this landmark, these things are just outrageous, and then this thing's also making a token, and then this thing's just huge. So my main concern is if I play both of these right now, it leaves me with an awkward 2 mana and fills the reserve. So I do need to play this turn. And then I can either play Kokoba or one of these 2, depending on what happens. But I basically can't lose any more lanes. I got to make sure I beat my opponent all the time now at all costs. Yeah, it's wild that this token's on the board. They just wasted their beauty sleep for no reason. Okay, there it is. Hey, look at that. 4 mana cost or more. Oh, I could have gotten rid of it. But instead I am dumb. Okay, well, I guess what I'm going to do is play this here, because it does contest. They have to move off of desert, and this is the one thing that this thing is really good at. Now, I don't move on desert. So by putting this here, I actually don't win the lane. Okay, so maybe what I want to do instead is put this here. This essentially... Okay, this threatens to win this lane, and it contests this lane. It blocks them, because they only have a 4 at desert, and I have a 4 on everything. So it blocks them from winning here. It hopefully puts winning this out of reach at 2 mana. Well, they do have Beauty Sleep. Beauty Sleep's a very good counter, actually, against Kokoba, because it's one big fatty. But, okay, so now they're threatening to win here. Okay, so I have a choice. I can either play Kokoba, or I can play this. Both of them win it. Typical... trading card game advice is use your mana, so I should use the extra mana, but this thing is so big, I kind of want to keep it as a surprise. Now, what's the actual stat line here? This is what, 2/2/1, and then another 2/2, so it's a 4/4/3. Yeah, this is bigger than this, and I want to keep it as a surprise, but of course I do pay for that, because then I end up having to pay extra mana. Okay, I'm gonna play this. My thinking is, I can't be beauty slapped right now, and it's still going to be in my reserve, so I still can play it again. I think I need to just, use my mana efficiently. All right, so now we are still in a very interesting situation because my opponent has 5 stats starting out in this lane. So I need to kind of catch up on that. In addition, my opponent has Beauty Sleep. Now, luckily, because they wasted it 2 turns ago for absolutely no reason, it costs 3 instead of 1, and it's face up, so it isn't a surprise. So I can just always make sure not to play Kakoba until after they have 2 mana or less. They also can move 1 more time. So I am allowed to let my opponent move once if I move myself. The issue is that because they're uniformly statted, if they're moving, then I'm probably not moving because I'm also kind of uniformly statted myself. Do I want to keep this Ordis Trooper? Oh, what? This is just strictly, not strictly because of the forest, but it's basically strictly better. So I'm gonna get rid of that. I still want to be generating mana. Oh, right, I do start with two stats here, right? So I still, I have something going on here. So it may not be impossible to win. What I'm going to do here is the 3, 5, 7. Yeah, this thing is kind of weird because I want to just use my mana. What I'm going to do here is play the cadets right here. So my thinking is that I want to pile drive this lane and then hope my opponent tries to fight it or something so I can sneak the Kakoba in with my last mana and win this as a surprise. Now, maybe that's dumb. Maybe it would have made more sense to tie them in this lane to encourage them to play in the other lane and then try to sneak in that one. Because what this does is it makes them say, well, all right, I can't win that anymore, so I might as well just pile drive this one. Nah, I think I might have messed that up. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. So, they play something here, I play the cadets here, and then I can play the Kakoba, and then hopefully 6 stats across the board lets me win this anyways. All right, what are you? If you control 2 or more plants, gain boosts. Okay, so actually my opponent's pretty close here. They're pretty smart. They're keeping the Beauty Sleep option open. What I think I'm going to do here is just, so my opponent sees Kakoba, so they know this. But yeah, I'm just going to take advantage of the fact that the initiative works in my favor here. I'm just going to play the cadets here. Just pile drive this lane for crazy stats. God, this is disgusting. And then see what they have for 3. They might have Yggdrasil, which actually would give them... Oh no, Yggdrasil is a 5/5/3. It's the water that's weak. So Yggdrasil... No, but it's still enough. Yeah, because it's just so crazy. Yeah, it's still enough. It would give them this, and then I would have no choice but to let them take this lane. Or this lane. I mean, one or the other, basically. Yeah, it would suck. If they had the Yggdrasil, that would be unfortunate, but it would draw me a card, and if it drew me something that cost 2 or less, I could actually play that and it instead of playing Kakoba. The problem, of course, then is massive card disadvantage, as my reserve would fill up like crazy. So yeah, I hope they don't have Yggdrasil, Daughter of Yggdrasil, the 5/5/3 that draws your opponent a card, because then they would move this turn. As it is, there's no good targets for Beauty Sleep because everything individually is pretty small. I mean, okay, let's say they actually, yeah, they could just Beauty Sleep, one of my tokens to drop my water by 2. Oh, no, that doesn't do anything. Because I would still move off of Desert, and their 6 water wouldn't be enough to block it. Yep, I think they need Daughter of Yggdrasil, which I'm guessing they don't have, because if they had it, they would have already played it. Unless they're maybe thinking oh, should I play it over here to try to guarantee this lane? Let's see, that would be 5 desert. Yeah, Kakoba would not catch up to that. And I'm in desert as well, so beating them on water wouldn't work. They have... Oh, okay, that's great. I'm totally fine with that. So that does nothing for the board this round. 2 things are still going into the reserve, so the reserve still fills up. I just play Kakoba. Yep. We still have these guys going into the reserve for next round. Now, I am operating at a deficit. They're going to have 6 stats here. But that's okay, because I get 2. I could still try to sneak back in. Now we're equally spaced, so it isn't as devastating if my opponent were to move once and I were to move once. That wouldn't be the end of the world. I have 2 stats starting off in this lane. I've got these crazy nutters, and potentially, depending on what I draw, I don't need to discard anything for mana, whereas my opponent doesn't have any cards in hand. So they also could not discard anything for mana, but then if they do that, they only kept 2 cards, whereas I kept 3. All right, we got a bunch of cheapos. So this is the Bravos card, but is available in Ordis. Interesting. So I guess basically there are multi-faction cards. It's just that you have to, from like a card collection standpoint, actually collect the one that has the faction symbol you want to play it in. What is this? 2, 4, 7. I don't think I want to discard anything for mana. I think I want to win this turn. Now, it's a little bit of a tall order given that they do have 6... What just happened here? All right, let's refresh. I don't think my opponent quit or anything. Yeah, it's a bit of a tall order, but oh, my opponent also, why do they have the same mana as me? Hold on. Chooses 1 card for mana. Did they skip on mana on a previous turn? I didn't notice. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, anyways, so my opponent held on the Beauty Sleep, which I find curious because it's 3 and there's no good targets for it. My power that they can see is all tokens. All right, so my opponent makes a sensible move. They get an anchored card, which will be value next round, and they just, are contesting this lane now. So what I'm going to do here is just play a very, very simple maneuver. What is this? Permanent you play, costs 1 less. Okay, we're just going to drop these guys here. They have no water, which doesn't matter because neither of us is in water. So the water stat is truly irrelevant in this lane. I am now back up ahead. I spent 2 mana to get ahead, whereas they spent 4 mana. So now I just want to see what they're going to do. And depending on what my opponent does, because they did commit 4 of their 7 mana on turn 1, I may be able to bomb the board with these weenies and actually just win. Oh, this is different. This is Ratatoskr, but it creates Ordis recruits. Did the Bravos version also make Ordis recruits? I don't know. It might not even be a Bravos card. I mean, in the original game, my opponent gave fleeting. Oh no, it gave fleeting. What is this? Up to 1 character gains fleeting. Okay, so this already had fleeting. Yeah, this did nothing, right? Because it gave 3 desert, which is relevant because both of us care about desert, but giving this token fleeting doesn't matter because of course the tokens already have fleeting. Anyways, yeah, I guess we'll just put this here. So I'm using my face-up cards to win in ways that my opponent can already tell. Oh, they're out of cards. Okay, and they're out of mana, so it doesn't matter, they're out of cards. So yeah, my opponent is going to be very disappointed here to see that I can just play this. And this. And this, admittedly, which was pretty lucky. And they all get a bonus. So my opponent got to this crazy lead with the hero and companion very close to each other, and they just never moved again. Wow, that was a good one. That one makes up for the horrible losses earlier. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and or subscribe, and I shall see you again soon. Take care.